Hello, welcome to Monday's Granada Reports. We are live with the news and sport across the northwest.
Hello, thanks for joining us. Coming up on the programme this evening.
The riot outside the hotel housing asylum seekers that left police officers injured and those sheltering in the hotel scared for their lives. As 7 men start jail sentences tonight, a charity which works with refugees says it's dismayed at the level of violence shown.
Well, they were frightened. They didn't think things like that happened in Britain. They thought Britain was a safe and secure country.
Laughing as he detonates his homemade bomb, but this is no joke. Fantasist Jacob Graham is starting a 13-year jail sentence.
And up for the semi-final.
Drama right to the end. United beat Liverpool to set up a possible all-Manchester FA Cup final. And look what that means.
A new way to have fun beside the seaside. The man from Fleetwood making sure everyone can enjoy a day out at the beach.
And it certainly felt like spring has sprung this weekend. Typical spring-like weather, in fact, this week, in that it's going to be very changeable. I'll have all the details in the forecast later on in the programme.
First, in the words of a charity which supports refugees to this country, they came here thinking it was a safe haven.
Instead, a group of asylum seekers on Merseyside watched in terror from their hotel as a demonstration suddenly turned violent. They saw an angry mob trying to force their way in, calling for them to be removed and hurling missiles at the police.
Tonight, 7 men involved in that riot outside the hotel in Kirby last February are starting jail sentences. Our reporter Tim Scott was at Liverpool Crown Court to see them dealt with and joins us from there now. Tim.
Yes, Mike, a terrifying ordeal for asylum seekers at the Suites Hotel. It no longer houses them, but last February over 200 people fought a pitched battle with police there, trying to get inside. It came after an allegation of sexual assault was made against an asylum seeker, an allegation that the police found there was no evidence to support. But in the disturbance that followed, 3 police officers were injured and £83,000 worth of damage was caused to police vehicles. Jailing 7 men for just over 18 years today for their part in the disturbance. His Honour Judge Watson said the violence directed at the asylum seekers was racially aggravated and only the resilience and determination of police officers prevented the mob from being able to enter the hotel.
Get them out! Get them out!
February the 10th last year and violence erupts outside of the Suites Hotel in Knowsley. A police van is surrounded and set on fire. 3 officers were injured after missiles were thrown, with some protesters carrying signs reading, "This is our city." Asylum seekers in the hotel could only look on, petrified.
They're yelling, they're screaming. Yes, we are frightened, especially when they try to break the fence. They come inside the hotel and maybe they set the whole hotel in the fire.
Well, they were frightened. They didn't think things like that happened in Britain. They thought Britain was a safe and secure country.
The disturbance happened after an allegation was made that an asylum seeker staying in the hotel had sexually assaulted a local girl. False rumours then spread on social media and right-wing groups and local people made their way to the site.
Around 250 to 300 people gathered in protest. Unfortunately, that quickly turned into violence and criminality, and we saw large-scale disorder on that evening.
We've all seen those pictures of what happened on the night. What was it like for your officers having to attend this?
They had fireworks fired at them from short range. Bottles, bricks and paving slabs were thrown at the officers. They remained professional and calm throughout, and ultimately within a short period restored order within the location.
Regarding that allegation of sexual assault then, was that actually true? Did anything happen?
Yeah, no further action was taken against that individual. He was arrested and the allegations were investigated thoroughly, but there was no further action taken against him.
Two of those sentenced today were seen by a police drone camera during the riot. Brian McPadden was caught shouting next to the burnt-out police van. And earlier, Thomas Mills was caught in front of the van with a banner that read, "Let's shout, get them out."
You've got an angry group of people who don't understand what's happening, who have been fed a certain narrative and who have reacted to it. Actually, if people met more asylum seekers or more refugees and they were more comfortable with why these kind of things happen, we start to get a different attitude towards strangers in our community, because after a while they're not strangers anymore, they're just other people that you know.
Today's sentences mean 17 people have now been convicted in relation to last year's incident at the Suites Hotel. There have been no similar disturbances on Merseyside since. Tim Scott, ITV News.
More news now, and a young man who created a bomb-making manual for terrorists, a manual written in a bedroom in Liverpool, has been jailed for 13 years.
Jacob Graham, who's 20, shared the guide online, which he claimed was about freedom. He said he was a left-wing anarchist and hated government and officialdom.
Police investigating sales of potentially explosive materials raided his home and found chemical supplies that he'd buried in woodland.
He tried to convince the authorities it was just a strange hobby. Our correspondent Rob Smith has more.
Setting off an improvised explosive in a garden was far from a joke.
It's a nice bit of kit. Need sharpened.
Jacob Graham claimed the videos and bomb-making manual he created in his home in Liverpool were escapism and fantasy. But the chemicals police found were very real. Likewise, a 3D printer with the information needed to print an assault rifle.
We recovered a number of exhibits from the address, which included several digital devices. Those devices were found to contain detailed instructional material on how to manufacture firearms, explosives, but also details of how to carry out a terrorist attack, advice to others, and how to avoid detection by law enforcement agencies.
Graham's attempts to avoid detection involved burying chemicals in woodland. The 20-year-old idolised an American terrorist known as the Unabomber, and he spoke of going on a rampage.
It's making the fuse shorter and shorter.
The how-to guide Graham shared with others online was dedicated to, quote, misfits, social nobodies and anarchists. Last May, police raided his home amid an investigation into sales of materials which could be used to make bombs. They dug up his supplies.
You are a dangerous young man. You described yourself as the first homegrown UK terrorist. It was only your uncertainty about whether someone else held that claim before you that caused you any doubts, because you were proud of that claim. You held a clear and settled intention to assist others to commit acts of terrorism.
Graham will now spend years behind bars, convicted of preparing acts of terrorism, possessing materials useful to terrorists, and distributing terrorist publications. No more chemical experiments. No more offering guidance to would-be attackers. Rob Smith, ITV News.
Next tonight, the family of a man who died after a suspected carjacking in Manchester say he was a devoted family man who adored his grandchildren. Christopher Hanley died on Olympic Street in Beswick on Saturday. He was 57. Police believe he was hit by his own car when he was trying to stop it being stolen. 2 men have been arrested in connection with his death. In a statement this afternoon, his family said they are heartbroken and shocked at the sudden loss.
8 men have been arrested and 1 has been charged after Manchester United's FA Cup win over Liverpool. 2 United fans are being questioned in connection with alleged tragedy chanting. 3 Liverpool fans were arrested on suspicion of possessing a Class A drug. Greater Manchester Police say the arrests follow a proactive, zero-tolerance approach to policing at football. Well, next night, a massive milestone for the campaign by 3 bereaved fathers to steer young people away from suicide.
A pilot lesson on suicide prevention has been delivered to pupils at a school in Merseyside as part of a groundbreaking trial by a university in Liverpool.
It follows the high-profile campaign by the 3 men who lost their daughters to suicide and created 3 Dads Walking. They completed 2 marathon fundraising walks and took their message to Parliament.
One of the dads is Mike Palmer from Sale, whose daughter Beth took her own life 4 years ago. He was there to see one of the first lessons take place. Our correspondent Mel Barham was given an exclusive invite to be there too.
So, suicides happen with no warning, no clue they're going to happen. A tick if you think yes, cross if you think no, hold them up.
This is a lesson that's highly unusual. It's specifically talking about suicide and suicide prevention, something that at the moment is not on the curriculum. The question is, should it be? One person who absolutely thinks so is Mike Palmer. He lost his 17-year-old daughter Beth to suicide 4 years ago, and along with 2 other bereaved fathers, joined together to form 3 Dads Walking. They've been pressing the government to make these lessons compulsory.
So what I'd like you to do is talk to each other about those signs.
It's now something academics are exploring. This school is one of 6 across Liverpool taking part in a groundbreaking trial looking at whether suicide prevention should be taught to all pupils.
One thing that keeps coming up is that people's suicidal behaviour started at school age. So it started to bring the question is, should the intervention actually be coming out much younger?
The trial is based on a programme called MAPS, already being used in Australia. Not only are Year 10s taught how to spot the signs of suicide and how to get help, they're also screened, and those identified as high risk are offered an 8-week course of support.
So agree is out the door, disagree is here.
This randomised controlled trial by Liverpool John Moores University is the first of its kind in the UK. Funded by the government, it'll look at the safety of such lessons and whether they're effective.
So we're comparing what is being delivered in these schools to what happens in schools normally, and looking at then at whether there's significant differences between those 2 schools, so we can really attribute any changes in outcomes to this programme specifically and really know that that works.
Is this the sort of thing that you want to see rolled out in schools across the country?
Absolutely, 100%. We need to be proactive with this. There's always the chance that it would have made a difference with Beth if Beth had been more aware and if I'd been more aware. Because remember what we're teaching these kids now, they'll take into adulthood, they'll take into parenthood.
It is a real worry. We tend to have a lot more who are self-harming.
Staff at this school say it's a growing problem. They don't have the staff, the funding or the expertise to cope with the growing demand for help. And that's where this programme could be hugely beneficial.
For us as a school, teaching suicide is a difficult topic, and we would feel much better if we had specialised support and training, and that's what MAPS offers us. It also offers us intervention for the students that come out as high risk and medium risk. So for us, it gives us a provision that we don't have in school.
We'd love them to come to us and say, I'm worried about someone, but they're not going to. 9 times out of 10, they're going to talk to each other. So we again need to give them the skills to be able to know how to support each other. We teach them lots of different skills in school. This is absolutely essential to give them the skills because it can potentially save lives.
So what did these children make of the lesson today?
I thought it was really important to obviously learn about it all, because there's so many people our age that are probably struggling, but they might not understand that they are.
I feel like people our age now are a lot more mature when it comes to talking about things. So it shouldn't really be kept from us, because that's just, then you don't understand sort of what you're going through.
It's more likely that we're going to be able to help our friends now or in the future, and if you know how to help them, it might save a life.
The government are yet to decide whether to add suicide prevention to the curriculum, but the findings of this 2-year trial could well help inform that decision. Mel Barham, ITV News, Liverpool.
And if you've been affected by any of the issues in Mel's report, there's more information about a range of suicide prevention charities on our website, itv.com/Granada.
Yeah, and we'll be watching that too. Well, let's take a look now at what's coming up on the ITV News at 6:30 with Mary. Coming up in the programme, Vladimir Putin threatens protesters in Russia with punishment after he wins his 5th term in office. The warning comes after his landslide victory, condemned as a sham by some world leaders. Also on the programme, 2 years after the mass sacking of nearly 800 P&O ferry workers, ITV News discovers the company is still paying some of its seafarers less than half the minimum wage. And it is the end of the road for Britain's most successful female Olympian. Do join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Well, we're moving on to sport now, and we are on track for another all-Mancunian FA Cup final after some high drama at Old Trafford, Chris.
Yeah, Manchester United fans have had a skip in their stride all day after that win over Liverpool. And now, after being kept apart in the semi-final draw, United and City are both just one win away from setting up a repeat of last year's FA Cup final showdown. This after a dramatic weekend of quarter-final action, as David Chisnall reports.
Manchester's magic in the FA Cup keeps alive the possibility of a City United final for a second season in a row. United will face Championship side Coventry in the semi-finals after serving up a cup classic with Liverpool in the quarters. These two rivals traded blows at Old Trafford before Amad Diallo delivered the knockout blow for United in the final minute of extra time.
Amad for the semi-final!
There was no fairy tale ending for the 21-year-old, though, whose celebration saw him sent off after picking up a second yellow card for taking off his shirt.
I forgot the first yellow, and so I am very disappointed for that red card. But the most important for me is to win, and against big team like Liverpool is a big moment for me.
Every team needs such moment into a season, and we never had that moment. Yeah, this could be that moment where we. That the team can really the belief and the energy that they can do amazing things. And I think when you can beat Liverpool in the way we did, you can beat any opponent.
Well, while Ten Hag wants this result to put his team on track for success this season, Jurgen Klopp isn't worried about it derailing his, with the Premier League and Europa League still to play for.
The team is in an outstanding situation in the moment. We got through all these different and difficult situations, absolutely exceptional. For today, we could have won the game and we would have deserved it, but we lost it, and Man United deserves it as well. That's the situation.
Cup holders Manchester City added another piece of history to their ever-growing list, as Pep Guardiola's side became the first team to reach the semi-finals for 6 seasons in a row. After avoiding their neighbours in the draw, they'll now instead play Chelsea after knocking out another Premier League side, Newcastle. A 2-0 win at the Etihad on Saturday means City go into the international break still in contention of repeating last season's treble.
We're coming back for the last international break, so 1 month and a half, 2 months left. Being in contention for all the titles means a lot. I know people talk about the Premier League, talk about the Champions League, but when he's able to win 4 Carabaos in a row, 6 semi-finals, 6 FA Cup semi-finals in a row, this team, this club has something special.
Well, if City and United can win their semis, then it'll be another special day at Wembley come the end of May, with another all-Manchester FA Cup final. David Chisnall, ITV News.
Preston haven't given up on being in next year's Premier League. Their 1-0 win over Plymouth leaves them 5 points behind the Championship playoff spots. At the bottom, Blackburn are still just 3 points above the relegation places after a goalless draw with Middlesbrough. Fleetwood are still fighting for League One survival. Their 1-1 draw with Charlton leaves them 5 points from safety. Elsewhere, Bolton lost, while Wigan Athletic beat Blackpool 1-0. In League Two, Salford City are breathing easier after beating Morecambe 3-1 for their first win in 6 games. Elsewhere, Accrington held Notts County to a 2-2 draw at home, while Barrow still sit comfortably in the playoffs despite their goalless draw with Harrogate. Crewe were beaten, but there was a good day for Tranmere fans as Rovers beat Wrexham 1-0 at the Racecourse Ground. That result should help Stockport, who play tonight. But in the Women's Super League, Manchester City are still neck and neck with leaders Chelsea. They beat Brighton 4-1 on the road and remain level on points with the reigning champions. Manchester United were also winners, beating Bristol City 2-0. Elsewhere, Everton were beaten, but Liverpool were 3-1 winners over West Ham.
Getting that winning feeling. FOW, sponsors of the Granada Sport Report.
Finally from me, we bid farewell to an adopted hero of the Manchester Velodrome. Dame Laura Kenny has announced she's retiring. The 31-year-old track cyclist, who's married to Bolton's Olympic champion Jason Kenny, has herself won 5 Olympic golds and 7 world titles. But she's decided against targeting the Paris Olympics this summer and says now is the time to hang up her bike. Britain's most successful female Olympian of all time. She'll take some beating.
Yeah, we wish her well and thank her for all those wonderful moments, Chris. Thanks for the sport tonight. Now then, few things lift the spirits like a trip to the seaside. Let's all go there now. So next we're off to Fleetwood to meet a remarkable man by the name of Rhys Slater.
Yes, he's travelling more than 100 miles this month in his wheelchair all around the town to raise money for a great cause.
Yeah, Rhys is determined everyone should be able to enjoy a day on the beach thanks to a rather clever little piece of equipment. Paul Crone explains.
We all take a stroll on the beach for granted. Even our four-legged friends get to enjoy it. But Rhys Slater knows only too well that's not possible for wheelchair users. The 50-year-old has functional neurological disorder, but together with his constant companion Sonny, there's hope on the horizon. Allow us to introduce the beach wheelchair. Big wheels make a big difference.
The smiles on people's faces, and it's not just the people in the chairs. You know, you've got parents crying going, I never thought I'd be able to do this. It just means so much to all of us.
Rhys's efforts to travel 100 miles this month are to raise funds for Fleetwood Beach Wheelchairs, which provides free access to the local beach for wheelchair users, their families and friends. All it takes is a free phone call to book your place. 28-year-old Matthew has cerebral palsy and just loves the beach and what it brings.
Fun.
What else?
Better.
What else?
See.
Sea. Do you go swimming in the sea? So, here is Matthew's normal wheelchair. Let's get it down on the beach. And that's it. That is literally as far as it can go, and that's without even Matthew being in it. Parents Jane and Alan Price love taking their son Nicky on the beach in one of the special wheelchairs. He may be non-verbal, but the joy for everyone is clear to see.
Can't just walk onto the beach. He gets really excited. It's fun for him. He really does enjoy it.
Yeah, even though he's non-verbal, you can tell how much he's enjoying it. It's just so excited.
We sometimes watch people who've never been on a beach, never seen a beach. We've had people, they've never taken their relative to a beach because they know they want to get on it and they can't. But the difference it makes is that the minute they sit there and they just reach down and feel the sand and things like that, it's just incredible.
It's hard work to sort of, you know, say I've come down here with my family and I'm no longer sat with them.
Fleetwood Beach Wheelchairs is a charity run entirely by volunteers. They've already done over 1,000 trips since they started, and Rhys Slater is determined those days on the beach continue, with Sonny's help, of course. Paul Crone, ITV News, Fleetwood.
Great idea. Isn't it just, yeah? Now, is there any beach weather for us? Here's Joe with the forecast.
Why do I need a shower? I've been out in the rain.
The faster you go, the sooner you'll be out. You'll save water too.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada Weather.
Hello, a very good evening to you. Changeable weather this week. In fact, it's typically spring-like, with showers never too far away, and for the time being mild, but eventually into the weekend, colder air returning. Shown quite nicely on the temperature contour sequence. Through this week, we keep the oranges for a time, and then by Friday, a colder plunge across the UK, giving us a frost Friday night into Saturday. Back to this evening's details. Cloud builds, it remains very breezy, and we'll see some showery rain moving in across most places before midnight. The early hours of tomorrow morning, another batch of showers moves in, and it remains cloudy and breezy. And as a consequence, it'll be a mild night, 8 or 9 degrees, the overnight low. On to tomorrow. First of all, the sun is up at 6:14. It sets at 6:24 tomorrow evening. If you're up early tomorrow, it'll be cloudy and rather damp and very breezy. But quickly, skies will brighten. And for most parts of the northwest of England and for the Isle of Man, dry conditions after lunch, some decent bright or sunny spells. And with winds dropping out to virtually nothing by the end of the day, it should feel pleasant at around 14, maybe 15 Celsius at best. All eyes to the southwest tomorrow night as the next rain band approaches, pushing up into our part of the world into the early hours of Wednesday morning, putting down quite a lot of water on the roads to start the day on Wednesday, but improving later on. And it remains mild over the next couple of days. Winds begin to pick up through Thursday and into Friday. A few showers Friday afternoon, and then skies will clear. And it'll be quite chilly Friday night into Saturday. Enjoy your evening. Bye-bye.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Thanks very much, Joe, and that is it from us for now. Tomorrow night we are joined in the studio by this very special man.
That fella over there is paying.
Yeah, we'll have a pint. Thanks, Ricky. What a great man he is. Such a great double out, those two. We're talking to the one and only Ricky Tomlinson about his latest adventures on stage and screen. He's only 85.
He's a legend. I'll be back with the late news after news at 10. Until then, good night.
Good night.